Deep within the shadow realm, where the sky was an endless abyss and the ground pulsed with whispers of the forgotten, lived Nyxara, the shadow fairy. She was a being of darkness, her existence tied to the void, her magic bending the unseen. No mortal had ever touched her world. None had dared, until Marcus came. He was unlike any human Nyxara had ever encountered. He moved through dimensions as if they were mere doorways, a wanderer between realms. The moment their paths crossed, the shadows shifted around them. Nyxara felt something she had never known before, an ache, a longing. Marcus was not afraid of the darkness. He embraced it. For the first time in her existence, she allowed herself to feel. Their love was not meant to be. Fairy magic was bound by laws that even Nyxara could not ignore. Light and shadow were never meant to intertwine. But love does not follow rules. And so, against every law of nature, against every whisper of warning that echoed in the void, she bore a child. On the night the baby was born, the shadow realm trembled. The blackened sky cracked with slivers of pale light, and the wind carried an unnatural silence. When the child emerged from the darkness, Nyxara expected a cry, a gasp, a heartbeat. There was none. The child did not breathe. Her eyes were open, but they reflected nothing. No soul, no light, no life. And yet, she moved. Marcus staggered back, his face pale with horror. "What have we done?" he whispered. Nyxara clutched the baby to her chest, her hands trembling. She had created something that should not exist. And deep within her, something primal and ancient whispered, "This child is wrong." Nyxara refused to believe what the void whispered. She named her daughter Lyrian and wrapped her in the shadows, trying to hide the truth. But no matter how much she tried to love the child, something was missing. Lyrian did not cry, she did not smile, she did not blink, she only watched. The shadow folk, creatures of the abyss, avoided her. Even the darkness itself recoiled from her presence. When Nyxara tried to use her magic to sense her daughter's soul, she found only emptiness. Marcus grew distant. Fear crept into his eyes every time he looked at Lyrian. "She isn't ours," he said one night, voice shaking. "She's something else." Nyxara refused to listen. She was her mother. She would love her. But then the nightmares began. Nyxara dreamed of endless voids, of voices calling from beyond the shadow realm. She saw glimpses of something vast and hollow, something waiting. And every time she woke, Lyrian was standing by her bed, watching. The fairy seers came. They were ancient beings, their eyes blind to the physical world but open to the threads of fate. They circled Lyrian in silence before one of them finally spoke. "This child is not a fairy. Nor is she human." Nyxara's breath caught. The seer turned to her. "She is a gateway, a doorway to the nothingness, the place where lost souls go. If she is allowed to grow, she will open the doors to the void, and the world will be swallowed." Nyxara's hands tightened around her daughter. "You're wrong," she whispered. The seers did not argue. They only bowed and vanished, leaving their warning behind. But Marcus did not stay. That night, he left the shadow realm, disappearing between the folds of existence, never looking back. Nyxara was alone, alone with a child who had no soul. The years passed, but Lyrian did not change. She never laughed, never cried, never spoke. Yet, things around her did. The sky grew darker. The void pulsed more violently. The whispers in the abyss grew louder. And then, the disappearances began. First, the lesser shadow creatures vanished. Then the night spirits. Then entire portions of the shadow realm itself. One by one, things were being unmade. Nyxara watched in horror as the truth became undeniable. The seers were right. Lyrian was unraveling reality itself. One night, Nyxara found her daughter standing at the very edge of the shadow realm, staring into the abyss. A single step more, and she would fall. But Nyxara knew, Lyrian was not the one falling. She was calling. The nothingness whispered in a language only she could hear. And she was answering. Nyxara trembled. She had to stop it. But how do you stop something that was never meant to be? She only had one choice left. Nyxara carried Lyrian to the edge of the shadow realm, the place where existence ended and the void began. The abyss churned below them, endless and hungry. She looked at her daughter, her silent, soulless child. And she made a choice. Holding Lyrian close, she whispered, "I name you." The words rang through the abyss, shaking the foundations of the shadow realm. Lyrian gasped. For the first time since she was born, she breathed. Her small chest rose, her fingers twitched. And then she opened her eyes. They were not the empty void they had been before. They were black, pure, endless black, darker than the deepest shadows. But inside them, something stirred. A soul. Nixara stepped back, her heart pounding. She had given her daughter something unnatural, not the soulless void, not the fate the seers had predicted, but something else entirely. Lyrian turned to face her mother. A slow smile crept across her lips. And then, she laughed. Not a child's laugh. Something older. Something deeper. Nixara's blood ran cold. She had stopped the nothingness from taking her daughter. But what had she created instead?